we are going to start studying anatomy, which is going to be the basis of all of medical knowledge that we are going to study. Now, what is anatomy? Anatomy is the study of structure of human body. So the study of structure is called human body. The study of structure of human body is called anatomy. We are further going to classify anatomy into various disciplines, and we are going to study them thereafter. But first of all, the most basic of anatomy is called general anatomy. General anatomy is going to teach you the very basic nomenclature that we are going to use further in this subject. We will start with study of bones. Now, for bones, we are going to use this term called osteo. So wherever we use the term osteo, wherever you encounter the term osteo, it will refer to bones in the future. Osteology is the branch of anatomy that is going to study bones. So what is osteology? It is the study of bones. In order to study bones, we are going to classify bones into various categories, and the classification is going to be dependent on various parameters. We are going to classify it depending on various things or various characteristics of the bone. First method of classification is the developmental classification of bone. How a bone is going to develop is going to determine how we are going to classify it. So, in developmental classification, there are three possible classes or categories into which any bone in the body is going to fall. Number one classification is the intramembranous. Intramembranous class of bones is that class of bones that is going to develop from a single membrane. So during development, a membrane is going to form from its embryonic precursor, or from its developmental precursor, which we call mesenchyme. So a membrane forms from mesenchyme, and then it ossifies into a bone. This method is used for bones that we require immediately, or that are required immediately in development, and such bones are formed very rapidly. So you will see that these bones have already developed during the embryonic or fetal period. Examples of such bones include bones of the face. For example, we have maxilla, and we have frontal bone, parietal bone, etc. And then there are those bones such as clavicle, which is a very typical example of intramembranous classification. This bone we also call collar bone. The second developmental classification of a bone is a cartilaginous or intracartilaginous bone. These are the bones that first transform into a cartilage. Over here, the mesenchyme, which is the embryonic precursor of a bone, is going to transform into a cartilage, and that cartilage will slowly ossify into a bone. This is a very typical example for our limb bones, For example, our femur. Then there are bones which develop via a membrano-cartilaginous model. So these bones are partially developed in a membrane and partially they are developed via cartilage. Typical example of these bones include a temporal bone and a mandible. Because half of these bones are ossified using a membrane, that half is going to form first, and the half that is going to ossify using a cartilage, that half is going to take time to mature. So these bones are going to take time to mature. Typical example of it is mandible, which takes approximately 21 years to finally fully mature.